This is the Protestant cemetery in Brzeziny. Perhaps I should say former Protestant cemetery in Brzeziny, because this cemetery was abandoned for many years, but now, as you can see, there's some information about it here, and there is a sign saying to respect this place. This was effectively abandoned and stood abandoned for many years, but now it's been cleaned up and to a certain extent brought back to life, if you forgive the pun there, or semi-pun, by some local people, and it's been cleaned up. Only a couple of years ago this was completely overgrown and absolutely in ruins. Now, so I'll tell you a little bit about the story here. Start off with, I mentioned the word ruins, and you can see the way the cemetery wall is here. There's no wall on the other side, and at the back there is a hole in the wall where a bit of the wall is missing, and there's a story to that. In January 1945, in the battles in this area, there were German troops here. They were observed by the Soviets. The tank entered via a hole up there. It wasn't a hole, it was made the hole in the wall, broke the wall down to get in. It was at least 3 bombs fell on here, thrown by an aircraft, so presumably that happened before the tank came in, and they were shooting in this area. So, and that is what actually caused some of the damage we see here. We'll come right now back to the end of it here, so the military part here. Now this is in 1914, in the First World War, there was a battle here at Brzeziny. German troops advanced, they were surrounded, then about 8,000, at least 8,000 were caught in the pocket, at least, and may have been even more than that, but thanks to an advance by one General Litzmann, whom I have already published a video in this area, which saved these people. Litzmann became a sort of a hero to the Nazis later, and his name was given to the town of Łódź as a result. So here we've got these, so these are German troops from the First World War. All these were cleaned up by these local volunteers, so you now can even read the names on them here. So look at this one, very clear, everything, very well done up. Lieutenant Nebelsiak, so he died on the 1st of January 1915, presumably of wounds from the battle. So I'm going to come around a bit. There's this thing in some areas when people throw things down wells. There was a well there, and some of the stones were actually found in the well or on the way to the well, but these stones really are very heavy, so why they should want to do that, I don't know. The thing which is covered is that's not the well. The well is there, and some other people have got new stone crosses as well, and they're not just, for example, although it's a Protestant cemetery, they're not just Germans. For example, somebody's called Marta Wojciechowska, and I think this is the most recent grave, 1972. Clearly she was Polish. Now in 1863 there was a revolt against Russian rule, so this was part of Russia. It was occupied by Russia after the end of the Napoleonic Wars. Poland ceased to exist. In fact, it ceased to exist earlier, and there was this revolt. Here is one Karl Futterlieb, who born on the 13th of December 1813, and he was hanged on the 14th of December 1863, and he was hanged alongside another person called Antoni Reszka and Marcin Duma, who was a train driver, and they were hanged by the locals on the belief that they were Russian spies. Although the little I know of the life of Karl Futterlieb, it suggests that he would not have been a Polish spy as such, but sorry, Russian spy, but it may have been more likely to have been spying on them. But nonetheless, he was hanged one day after his 50th birthday, and anyway, I can't say not enough information is known. So here we have the graves of German and Russian soldiers who died in the Battle of Brzeziny from the 18th to 24th of November 1914. Now you may say that this looks awful, but from what they said, what they did to save it, the local volunteers, that it now looks like this is not as overgrown. Clearly there's still graves here which require some work being done on them. This one here, Władysław Moszczynski, who worked in a court. So there we see pisarz sądu pokoju okręgu Brzeziński. So he worked in the court. He was one of the people who write things down in the court. So it appears he was 36 when he died, if I've got that right. A bit difficult to read everything it says. So you see that German settlers came here, above all, at the beginning of the 19th century. It was only under Prussian control during the Napoleonic period from 1807 to 1815. But in that time, many Germans actually immigrated here, what we call today Germany, because Germany didn't exist then. And here we have rather attractive looking gravestone, and the stones which have these graves here, for example, they're new. So there's Paul Julian Oberg, who died in 1929, but he got a new cross recently, and that was the work of the people working here doing this. See there, that's where the tank came through in 1945. And have a look at this one here, which again, these were found in the crypt. This is something which has just been concluded now, so this is very recent work to actually protect this. And although once more they've got the names German, but the Rondhallerov and Goltz, but the text is in Polish. And some of these people, the gravestones, were actually paid for by the locals when they were, for example, as a teacher here, very well known locally, and the gravestone was paid by former pupils. So they were 1936. So Clara Waldschmidt, who was born Wiesmann. And here we can see this end, there's no wall. That's because the wall was probably taken for building materials. This was quite common by the locals after the end of the Second World War, and one has to understand the circumstances whereby something like that took place, because they didn't have other building materials. Life must go on, and the stones were there. And people criticize things like that, but they're not in that situation themselves. So there you have it. Oh, they put up a cross here as well, just to make it clear what it was, and maybe that would discourage people from profanating the site by sort of drinking here or something like that. So I hope you found that of interest. Lots more of this type of video on my channel, and thanks very much for watching.